it's Theresa of Larkin Design, and I'm here today with my 2014 Project Life album. This is my Throwback Thursday series where I work on an older project from previous years and use older products. And so today in this album, I'm sort of coming to a place of transition. And you've heard me mention that my husband and I did a sweat equity program with our contractor where we were responsible for doing a portion of the contractor work ourselves, namely the painting portion and the landscaping. And so we're moving into the painting project, and so I've decided to do, well, let me tell you what I've decided to do and then how I'm hoping that it's going to come together in this album. I had to sit down. I didn't do any journaling or anything while the project was going on. And so I sat down and wrote out a list of some of the funny things that happened and sort of gathered in my mind the whole process. And I asked my husband to, what stories he could remember that needed to be told that happened while this was going on. And so then I just sat down and I just wrote it all out. It sort of came out maybe a bit like a brain dump, I don't know. But because I don't know exactly, like, the stories that I'm telling as part of this larger story, they come in sort of bits and pieces, right? And that are actually part of the whole timeline of the story. So I don't know if any of that makes sense. But anyway, so what happened was it ended up being 3 phases that we did this project in. And so I have written the story in this format. This is one of the layouts. There's actually 4 of these similar layouts that I did. I created this in Photoshop. I used the Creative Cloud, which I highly, highly, highly recommend. And I sort of formatted it based on Ali Edwards' 31 Things class. If you've ever taken that one, then you would recognize the 6x12 format here. And then I sort of altered it a little bit to make it fit the story that I was trying to tell. And one of the challenges that I had with this portion of the project is that I did not take any pictures at all while we were painting and while we were doing this project. That probably sounds a little bit disappointing, but first off, I didn't want to bring my DSLR to the job site because I didn't want it to get dusty, sandy, painted, puttied, anything like that. So I did have my phone here with me, but we did not have electricity, and so there was limited capability for charging the phone. So there really were limited opportunities for photographing or documenting this at all, and it really was get it done. This took us about 6 weeks, a good 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks of our life. And we're talking like being here at 7 a.m., not leaving until 1 a.m., midnight kind of work days. So don't judge that there aren't many pictures. Don't judge that I'm having to write the story after the fact. I think the important thing is that I am getting it written, and hopefully what I want to do is read you the story. I don't know if I'm going to do that today necessarily. I do want to read you the story because I think it's awesome, and I think that it's a great way to go back and tell something that of this kind of, this kind of story that happened over several weeks, and how to put that in your project. It is a unique challenge, right? Because, well, how do you document a story that you don't have many photos for? And I will tell you that I ended up going back to our phone photos, from my phone and from my husband's phone, because there were a few photos here and there that we took with our phone, and some of those will show up in this in these layouts here. Now I also have, because I have a back of this, and then at the end of this series I'll have a front of this. And so what I'm going to do is, what happened in between the phases that we did, when we finished the first 2 coats of paint and the trim, at that stage, they came in and put all the flooring in, and the lighting, and the HVAC unit, and then they installed the quarter round that they put at the bottom of the trim. So what I thought I would do is put, this is kind of how representative of how the house looked at the end of the first stage that we did. And you can tell there's still no flooring, there's still no lighting, no air conditioning, no quarter round on the trim yet. But this was pretty much the end of phase 1 on this side. And then on this layout, which will be probably next week or possibly the week after that, I don't know yet, I'll do at the end of phase 2, or the end of the project, I'm not sure which it is, when they actually had the flooring in and the lighting and some of that stuff. And then on the next layout will be the landscaping project. This is the house after we had planted the grass and put our flower beds in. And then I will have the last layout, which will be all the completed rooms. Everything pristine condition, everything installed, everything done, just waiting for the closing. And then that will be the end of this construction project, which is actually really cool. And it's kind of neat to stand here and be at this place and to realize that even though I've only done 1 layout a week, I have, here we are at a completion place. And then after that, I'll be transitioning back into the normal project life schedule. But I will say that the rest of the year is not going to be weekly based. The rest of the year is probably going to be more like event based project life. I haven't really sat down and looked at any of those pictures yet, or strategized for that part yet, but that's just to kind of let you know what's coming ahead in this project. So I'm going to stop talking here in just a minute and do this process for you. I'm going to use some of my Ali Edwards Wild kits and probably some of the Ali Edwards Tough kit to create this layout. And I don't know that I'm going to do anything at all on this side. And then probably what I'll do for next week is come back and show you the other 3 pages and read that story for you. All right? So have fun. Enjoy the process. Okay, so let's dive right in. I'm going to take this side of the layout out of the album to work on. And one of the reasons that I'm going to do that is because I'm going to bring in my Ali Edwards story kits. And I went ahead and broke apart my story kits and put them in this tray. And so I'm just going to go through some of the journaling cards right now and select which of the 3x4 cards I want to use. And I already know that I want to hone in on the Wild Story Kit and the Tough Story Kit. Because this project was both wild and tough. And so I'm just going to go through. I have all of the similar products in each of the kits. I've just pulled them all together so that I can just go through easily and find things that I want to use whenever I feel like I want to use an Ali Edwards product. So I know for sure that I want to use that marketing card. I've used that one before in one of my digital layouts. And it fits here. It fits with this project about, choosing what we want to do with our life and choosing to make it what we want to make it. And I can't think of a better time to use a quote like that other than right now when we are busy making something really important for our family. So I'm going to round all the corners because I'm just on that kick in this album right now that I'm rounding all the corners. And you guys know I've been using a lot of the Becky Higgins core kits that have corners rounded. So I'm just going to continue carrying that theme other than when there are photos. And so what I have here, I think I went over already sort of what the photos are of. What I have here also, I pulled out the stamp sets from those 2 story kits, and I also have the embellishments. I just chose 3 little white bowls. They're from Target that I keep my Ali Edwards embellishments in. And so I actually really liked having those products just easy to go through and pull what I want to use. Now, a word about my photos here. I did not edit these photos. This is how they were taken on the phone camera and how they printed out. And this is the size. This is true to size. And one of the reasons I left them unedited is because they do tell a very specific story about where we were at this phase in the project. It's a time capsule, and every one of these layouts is a time capsule of what everything looked like right at that moment or at that week. And so this is at the end of phase 1 of our painting project. And so the walls and the trim are all painted. The vast majority of the work here is done. The biggest portion that we were absolutely dreading is done. So, and I know that it sort of goes out of order because the story of phase 1 is actually on the right-hand side. But anyway, I'm not going to stress over whether it's exactly chronologically perfect or not, you guys. Yeah. So, anyway, back to the video and the product that I'm using. Sometimes it's just hard for me to say, well, now I use this stamp set and then I put this product here. I find that sort of excruciating, to be honest, when I make my videos. So anyway, but I will tell you about the title card here, because I sort of broke this down into 3 different phases. I am going to do a title card that says phase 1 with the dates on it rather than the week number. This is technically week 25. At this time, I haven't chosen to highlight that it's week 25. I don't know if I really need to or not. I feel like, I'll be honest, and I feel like the last few weeks of June and the month of July in this year just all sort of ran together. I mean, it was just one crazy couple of weeks of really messy hands and painted hair and dirty clothes, and it was you guys, it was a mess. It was, I truly cannot describe it adequately, and since I'm limited on photos, it's hard to describe it. But I have tried to give a little bit of a grunge look to this layout. I used really, these browns and blacks and sort of grays. The inside of the house in the pictures look grayed. They look grayed out, just to convey that feeling of sheer overwhelm, sheer what the hell did we get ourselves into? I don't swear a lot. I try not to swear on my videos, but holy cow, this project deserves a swear word or two. And I'm pretty sure there were quite a few expletives going on while we were doing all this. So anyway, but back to product use here. You can see that I used the Ali Edwards alphabets and a number from the Ali Edwards chipboard alphabets. And then I stamped on that number as well. I did a couple of stamps vertically like this. And I also repeated, you'll find that I used two of the phrases that had the little arrows on the ends. And I'm going to repeat that too on my journaling card. And then, I actually did use one of the number clips. Sometimes I struggle because I don't scrapbook with lists. So it's hard for me sometimes to use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s when they come. But I did actually use one here. So yay, go me. And then I really like that hard times card. This was a really hard time for us. And I had to include that heart there because, we had to practice some self-care during this project too. And so that was important to me to include that little heart clip on there. And you can see here where I added the arrow lines on to that journaling card. I didn't write much. I feel like the story is being told on the right-hand side of the layout, and then it will continue to be told on the next 3 pages. So didn't need a lot of journaling here. Just a little statement about how this was the end of phase 1 and what the reality was in the house at that time. There's still no flooring, no electricity, no lights, no air conditioning. And you can see, just sort of, we were talking about it the other day currently, and we were just talking about how the house seriously looked like it had been bombed out. That's what it felt like being in there and trying to work in there and trying to get through that whole project. So hopefully I'm doing a decent job of communicating that. I did decide here on this photo to add a little bit more journaling about the house itself. That photo, you can still see a little bit where the window is still taped up and covered with paint. And that little sliver of taped up window is like what our clothes look like and what our hair and our arms look like some days. It's just, to think about it is still just kind of overwhelming. So, but anyway, so I know I'm just really chatty and really because this really was a big deal
Like this, we're talking like 6 weeks of work here. So anyway, I wanted to round the corners on this card as well, and the chipboard was in the way, so I ended up just trimming around it, using one of the other cards to trim around it. And I think that I'm just about done with this layout, so I'm going to clean everything off and let you take a look. And you guys, thanks so much for watching, for hearing me ramble on and on and on. I'm going to put everything in the page protector and put it back in the album for you. And then I'll see you back next week. I'll read the story for you next week. So thanks again for watching, you guys. Leave me a like and a comment and hit subscribe. Okay, bye-bye.